Fifth in the series of movies featuring the character Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, The Dial of Destiny came to theaters June 30th, 2023. Taking place in 1969, an elderly Indiana Jones goes on another adventure, teaming up with new companions and facing off against a new adversary. Is the movie a non-stop adventure thrill ride, or an attempt to reanimate a series that should remain dormant? Hello all, it's Marco from Random Door Media. I saw The Dial of Destiny recently, despite seeing a lot of negative review videos in my YouTube recommendations. I have been seeing review titles stating that the movie is awful, is a disaster, and the worst movie of the year. But at the same time, the movie has received an 88% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. So, who to believe? Well, nobody. If this is a movie that you have any interest in, see the movie and decide for yourself. That is what I did, and now I feel the need to put my 2 cents into the arena. Was the movie a terrible disaster that will bring about the apocalypse? Or was the movie one of the best in the series? In my opinion, it was neither. I'd rate this movie about a 5.5 out of 10. The movie delivered what I expected in that it had action and adventure featuring the character Indiana Jones going on a globe-trotting journey following clues to uncover some archaeological treasure of some significance. He overcame obstacles, sometimes using his head, other times surviving on pure grit. However, the movie had several what the heck moments. Scenes or plot elements that made me go, wait, what? Some of these moments were just blatant and obvious while watching the movie, while others I did not really think about until my friend and I were discussing the film afterwards. I will go over a few things about the movie without providing details of the plot, and then I want to go into details as there are some things I just need to talk about. So watch for the spoilers warning. Before I dive in, let me just point out what I thought of the previous movies. I loved the Indiana Jones series and own all the movies on DVD. Raiders of the Lost Ark was one of the first movies I saw in a theater by myself, and I watched all the movies in the theater. Here is what I would rate the movies out of 10. Raiders of the Lost Ark. 10. This is one of the best examples of action-adventure cinema. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the best movies of all time. Temple of Doom. 9. Not quite as good as the first, but a solid adventure film with new characters. The Last Crusade. 10. So many good plot elements, great acting, and so many memorable moments. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. 6.5. Although the weakest of the 4, it featured all the elements I would expect in an Indiana Jones movie, except for maybe the fridge scene. Before I go into the plot elements of The Dial of Destiny that will spoil some of the story, I just want to go over some clarifications. Sort of anti-spoilers. These are things that did not happen in the movie. Before the movie even came out, I heard rumors that the character played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge was going to travel through time, go on the adventures that Indy had gone on, and take the credit for it. That somehow her character was going to, erase Indiana Jones from history. I don't know if that was a previous version of the script or just a rumor, but that did not happen in the movie. The character played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge did not usurp Indy and lead him around by the nose like I heard claimed in several review videos. Helena, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I might be changing my pronunciation of that name during the course of the video. Helena was portrayed as being witty and resourceful, but she did not overshadow Indy. There are plenty of scenes where Helena was either at a loss and Indy solves the problem, or where he chastises her for some negative behavior. However, I will go into more details about her character in the spoiler section. Okay, from here on are spoilers for the movie. First, a summary of the plot. The opening act has Indiana Jones and fellow archaeologist Basil Shaw attempting to recover stolen artifacts from German soldiers during World War II. De-aging special effects are used to make Harrison Ford look to be in his 40s. Indy and Basil manage to escape with half of a device called the Dial of Destiny. Fast forward to 1969, Indiana Jones is old and living alone in an apartment in New York City. He and Marion are getting a divorce, and Mutt, the son that was introduced in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, was killed during the Vietnam War. Indy is approached by Helena Shaw, the daughter of Basil Shaw who passed away several years ago, and Indy has not seen Helena in about 18 years. She wants the half of the Dial of Destiny that Indy hid away many years ago. The dial was supposedly crafted by the ancient Greek mathematician Archimedes. She claims that she is doing a thesis on Archimedes and the dial. However, after obtaining the piece, Helena goes to Tangier to sell it at a black market auction. Indy tracks her down and recovers the dial, only to find out that an evil German scientist named Voller and his henchmen are also after the artifact, believing it will allow them to travel through time to redo World War II so the Germans win the war. Indy, Helena, and her sidekick, a teen boy named Teddy, travel to various locations, following various clues to get the second piece of the dial. The villain wounds Indy by shooting him in the chest, takes the dial, and he and his henchmen fly an old World War II bomber plane through a time fissure. But instead of ending up in the year 1939 like they thought, they end up in 214 BC at the Siege of Syracuse, when the Romans were attacking the city. The villain and his henchmen are killed. Indy wants to stay in that time to live out his last days, but Helena knocks him out and the trio return to New York City in 1969. Indy is reunited with Marion. Helena goes out for ice cream with Sallah's grandkids. The end. Next, I'll go over parts of the movie that I liked. You get to see Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones in his typical gear with the jacket, the hat, and the whip. Returning characters, Sallah and Marion are in the movie, although their time is almost negligible. The opening act was great. The first 20 minutes that took place in World War II had action and comedy elements and felt like it could have been cut footage from an Indiana Jones movie made many years ago. I did not find the de-aging effects to be a problem. I thought that aspect of the movie was well done. However, Indy's voice still sounded like old Harrison Ford, which was weird to hear from a younger looking version of the character. The movie had aspects common to Indiana Jones movies. Chase scenes, adventure, traveling to various locations, facing off against a villain and henchmen. Indiana and Helena find old relics and decipher ancient languages and codes and solve puzzles. But let's get into the bad things. First of all, why did they have to make Indiana Jones an old depressing has-been? Because in the movie, in 1969, Marion and Indy are getting a divorce and Mutt had been killed. And Indy is no longer working at the college that they showed in previous movies. He's working at just some school, and he's about to retire. He's made to look like a sad, depressed person. Why did they do that? Why couldn't they start the movie with Indiana Jones enjoying retirement and living with Marion? Normally a story that starts a character in a very low, sad situation does something to lift the character up, and then at the end they're in a better situation. But this movie ends with Indy practically in the same situation as the start, except a possible reconciliation with Marion. Next, during the opening act, back in World War II, Indy encounters Voller for the first time on top of a speeding train. Voller gets smacked by some low-hanging pipe or pole and goes flying off the train. Apparently this had no effect on the man. With the visuals and the sound effect, the movie wanted to make it clear that he got walloped hard and went flying off a speeding train. You would think that would be the setup for a future encounter when Indy meets him in 1969. Voller's all disfigured and has a grudge for Indy. But no, nothing. The guy looks perfectly fine. It was an odd setup with no payoff. And the guy should be dead. Time travel. Why did it have to be time travel? I have a bit of a peeve about time travel in movies. I even did a short video on this called Plot Pondering's Time Travel. The problem has to do with traveling through time but not space. People seem to forget that everything in the universe is in constant motion. If the time fissures were just that, some rift that connects 2 points in time, then when the characters emerge from the other end, they would not be in Greece, they would be a bajillion miles elsewhere in the galaxy. Not only does the Earth rotate, but it moves in an orbit around the Sun, and the whole solar system is moving through space. If someone is moving through time but not through space, then their location would be radically different. Okay, the ending of the movie, the final scene, is lackluster and feels rushed. After venturing to ancient Greece and then returning to New York City in 1969, Helena apparently invited Marion over to Indy's place. Indy and Marion appear to make up, and the movie ends. It felt like the writers just ran out of time and rushed the ending to get to the credits. Then there's a scene where Teddy, the teenage sidekick character, flies a plane. Just before that happens, there's a scene where the dialogue goes something like this. Helena, can you fly that plane? Teddy, I don't know, I haven't flown that type of plane before. Helena, you haven't flown any plane before. Teddy, I'll give it a try. Not only does Teddy go ahead and successfully fly the plane, but it makes me question the dialogue. If Helena knows Teddy never piloted a plane, why would she even ask him? Partway through the movie, it shows some guy teaching Teddy about piloting, but just at a table in a restaurant using some fake instruments cobbled together from wood and string. Yet he goes on to successfully lift off and pilot an airplane. At some point in the movie, the characters are looking for the Tomb of Archimedes. To reach it, the characters must travel through some caves, which are part of a popular tourist attraction. They then cross a rope bridge over a small underground river. Why wasn't the tomb discovered before? Yes, the characters had to climb a wall, cross a bridge, go through some tunnels and solve a puzzle room, but wouldn't other archaeologists have done that already? And who built the bridge? It certainly wasn't over 2,000 years old. Near the beginning of the movie, the villain's henchmen murder some staff at the school that Indy works in. Indy calls the operator to report that several people have been killed. For some reason, the authorities conclude that Indy is the murderer. There are even news broadcasts indicating that the police are looking for him. Why would he be the suspect? He was the one who called the operator to report people were murdered, and there is a CIA agent with the henchman who knows that Indy was innocent. Then, Indy is able to get to the airport and board a plane to Tangier with no problem. Was airport security that lax back in 1969? Then, nothing becomes of this plot thread. It's mentioned a few times, hey, I've been framed for murder. But there are no further consequences. It's even forgotten by the end of the movie. Near the ending, the scene before the final scene, the characters are in ancient Greece. Indy is dying from a gunshot wound and declares that he wants to stay there, spend his last days in the past, where he can watch history unfolding. Helena declares that he cannot stay because the people there lack the medical knowledge to help him and he will die very soon. Also, his presence would cause a problem with time and history. The fact that there's a crashed airplane bomber and a dead German scientist with dead henchmen won't cause a problem. So Helena knocks out Indy by punching him, and he wakes in his own bed back in New York 1969. Wait, what? Presumably Helena and Teddy get Indy onto the second plane, fly back through the time vortex, back to the year 1969, and somewhere on Earth, Indy woke with bandages around his torso indicating that he had received medical help for his bullet wound. He was unconscious all the time? How did they get back to New York City without any authorities getting involved? Now, to be honest, the movie did not actually show what happened between the time Helena knocked him out and he woke again in his bed. Maybe the space-time vortex deposited the plane not only in 1969, but in New York City as well? It is just a bizarre scene. Next, I have to talk about Helena's character. Helena is a bad character. I don't mean as in badly written, but bad as in morality-wise. She sells ill-gotten goods on the black market, apparently has had a history of illegal activities and deals with shady underground criminals. She seduced the son of some mobster in Tangier just so she can extort money out of him. She has a sarcastic sense of humor. In one scene, they're facing the police in Tangier, and she tells Indy that she told the police to shoot him. I couldn't tell if she was joking or not. After witnessing the massacre of about a half a dozen men on a boat, the crew of which had been helping them, Helena is like joking around, and Indy says, "My friend just got killed." Helena just looks away and says, "Sorry." She has no problem with Teddy stealing stuff, even from people who are helping them. Sure, she is a spunky, knowledgeable, and resourceful character, but overall, she's just a bad human being. It is sort of implied that by knocking Indy out near the end of the movie, and then bringing him back to the present and inviting Marion over, that she sort of helped him, and that is supposed to redeem her a bit. I guess. Whew, okay, that's a lot of awful plot elements. As I'm writing this down, I keep thinking of more, but I think this list is enough. However, I still thought that the movie was not terrible overall. I just don't think that it needed to be made, at least not the story that was told. It was odd seeing an old Indiana Jones performing the activities that were portrayed in the film. Personally, I think that having an old Indiana Jones being a mentor figure to a younger character that was taking on the hat and whip would have worked out better. But it is what it is. As I stated near the beginning of this video, I would give the Dial of Destiny 5.5 out of 10. I was not sorry that I saw the movie in the theater. Of course, I did use a gift card and therefore did not actually spend any money. I'm also not sure if I'll be adding this to my DVD collection. If you have any interest at all in this film, I would suggest to go see it and decide for yourself, or wait for it to come out on streaming service. I hear those are popular these days. Is this movie on your watch list? Did you know that there was a television show called The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles that lasted from 1992 to 1993? What was your favorite Indiana Jones movie? Let me know in the comments. But that's it for this video. Take care, everyone.